Hey everybody, Jem Schofield here with the C47 and another episode of, I guess today's a 1 to 3. So information and education related to small to no crew production. And by no crew, I mean just one person. So a lot of us are tasked on a pretty regular basis with being a sound recordist. And quite honestly, one of the biggest stress reducers for me as a producer and a director on projects is to hire a sound recordist. Because if I know somebody else is doing that job and they're doing it as a dedicated job and they know their craft, then stress goes away because I know that that's being taken care of. That said, when I am in many production environments, I am the one, or we have a crew of 2 or 3 people where somebody else in the crew is responsible for sound. And they are not by trade a sound recordist. So what do we do in those situations? Well, that's a big topic and there's a lot of great information out there. In fact, I might put 1 or 2 links below this particular episode about some places where you can get really good information and education on recording sound successfully. But I just wanted to talk about one thing today, which I think will help you if you're not doing it already when you are using mics and you are booming them. So this is not really relevant to a lavalier microphone. It's really relevant to something like this. Now, condenser microphones are the types of mics that we're normally using, and they have lots of different pickup patterns. And that's also something very important to understand. If you want to look that up online, you can go to the Googles and you can look up polar patterns, P-O-L-A-R patterns, and you can see the different pickup patterns. This particular microphone that I have today is the NT55 from RØDE. I like this microphone inside because it has a cardioid pickup pattern or polar pattern. Cardioid meaning heart, and that's sort of the shape of the pickup pattern. And the reason I like it is that it doesn't have what we call a tail, where it's also picking up audio from behind the mic. So it's great for an on-camera mic in certain situations. It picks up less handling noise on the camera. And then inside, where we get weird bounces and reflections and things like that, that minus tail or the lack of a tail is advantageous sometimes. A wider pickup pattern than hypercardioid or supercardioid, so sometimes it's not the right mic, and especially when you're outside. But for me, it's a good safety, and it's also really nice because the pickup pattern is a little wider. If I'm doing something where I have 2 people, a 2-shot, and they're having a conversation with each other, I can sometimes fly that mic in and pick up both of them. Okay, so when we talk about the pickup of a microphone, there's a primary pickup here, which is the axis, and that's kind of like almost like a laser beam. If you just think about light coming out of the front, which is not, but and it's just coming straight out of the microphone, that's really the axis pickup of the mic. That's great. I mean, what we tend to do is we will boom and then we'll point that directly at the person's mouth. And while that makes sense in theory, as soon as the person starts to move, so they move left, right, they move their head up or down, then they're off axis. And off axis isn't good because what that means for you in post-production is a lot of work because you're going to, yes, have a clean audio recording, but when they turn and they're off axis, then the audio is going to drop. So your levels are going to go down, and then they're going to go up, and then they're going to go down. That on top of the fact that people will change their, speaking level while they're talking. I remember I did a project many years ago with Robin Williams, and it was just a stand-up where he came in and he just talked directly to the camera. And let me just tell you, that is an audio challenge, but luckily we had a great sound recordist there, and we also initiated a limiter to make sure that when he did his thing, which means he goes from very quiet to very loud, we didn't have a big issue. All right, so we've got the axis. Now, there's a secondary pickup which is much bigger, which is called the lobe, L-O-B-E. And this is picking up in a much wider space. So you still got the axis pickup, but you've got this lobe pickup, which is much, much bigger. And what's interesting about that is if you change the way you're pointing your microphone, so you point it either somewhere around the person's forehead here, or maybe down towards their chest area, then what's going to happen is when the person moves, they're still going to be within the lobe pickup. So yes, the axis is hitting here, but this wider, more broad pickup is actually picking up the audio when they're turning their head left and right, up or down, in a very even way. So the huge advantage to that is that you have a lot less work in post-production. You adjust your levels when you place your mic, and you go to town. Axis and lobe when it comes to using boom microphones. Valid on any type of boom microphone. It's not a cardioid mic that has it. Basically every mic that we call a shotgun mic, which is erroneous by the way, because very few of these types of microphones actually have the shotgun polar pattern or pickup pattern. Most of them have hypercardioid, supercardioid, and then this one here, like I said, has cardioid, but you can actually swap out the capsules. So hopefully that little tip will help you when you are working and having to be a sound recordist on your small to no crew productions. Remember axis and lobe, and unless somebody is doing something where they're not moving their head, maybe they're doing a read of something, script read or something like that, then go ahead and use that lobe instead of the axis. Point that microphone a little bit higher or a little bit lower from where the person's mouth is, and I think you'll get very consistent, even recording results. Thanks for watching.